Hello and welcome to another video. So in this one we're going to be looking at Daily Race C at Dragon Trail Seaside. Now, I did do a couple of these to get my SR back up, but nothing really to write home about in them. Not the greatest races, not ones I really wanted to watch back editing, so not ones anyone else would really want to watch. So we've got our rating back to S, but we're still lower end of S. As you see, this is mostly D-rated lobby with a couple of better drivers up at the front. So starting this one on pole, door number 5, but I think people have said the door numbers don't really work if you're not B-rated and above lobbies only, so don't quite know whether that door number will be correct. But decided to start on the mediums on this one because the few where I did just purely to get my SR back up, I kept getting caught in a bit of action trying to do the nose stopper, and then I was taking avoiding action not to have contacts with people and really slowing myself down. So I thought I'll take mediums, especially with it being a slightly lower lobby, and see where we can run away to. But I have noticed, and I did say at the start of the week I struggle with race Cs because I don't really do them very much, so I did notice I definitely struggled with race pace this week. I was generally going down the order because a lot of the races I did, I think the lowest I started was about 3rd, so you know, it shows a good qualifying time can really help you, because if you struggle in the race like I've been, then still finishing fairly high even though you're losing places. We see there, I thought this guy was going to go for the move, but he doesn't. He just sticks his nose in an awkward place, stopping me getting to the apex, but doesn't go for the move or anything. So I was thinking, well, he must be on mediums as well probably. And to be honest, I was thinking, well, what's he doing? If he doesn't want to pass, he should have just stayed behind me there and not stuck his nose in, because he just slowed both of us down. But very good run through the chicane of death for the first time there. But not the greatest final corner, which I said I struggle with that. But you look again, he sort of got the run on me, so I tried to go sort of to the middle of the track to give him the inside if he wants it, but he goes to what will be the outside instead, which is a little bit annoying. So I was hoping here he's just going to back out the move, because if he's sensible and thinks we're both on mediums, or he should back out there, but he just keeps his nose in the outside, so there's a little bit of contact with us. But again, all that does is slow both of us down. It's not helping either of our races, but it turned out he was on the no stop on hard, so I mean, slowing me down for him isn't a bad thing, but to be honest, it'd have been better in my opinion if I was him, just sticking close to me. He clearly wants to go roughly the same speed as me. It's not like he's massively quicker than me. So it'd be better just sticking in the slipstream, braking early and lighter, saving his tyres, so come the end of the race he's got fresher hards. Because obviously I know the Viper does wear its tyres quite a lot, so the last couple of laps can be a bit of a struggle if you're doing the no stop. So to me there, he shouldn't have been fighting, but then because I'm worried about where he is and fighting me, I'd brake a bit late into that corner. I think these first couple of laps, all that's happening is we're being slowed down. As I said, I thought he was on mediums personally here. We're coming through the chicane of death again. Then just look there, that as soon as my tyres started to wear and the worse they wore, that happened to me every time. I don't know if I was hitting that curb at the wrong angle, but in the race I just couldn't get that corner right. I kept getting the car chucked across to the left, really close to that wall, ruining my exit every time. Even though I was managing to keep it out the wall, I was still losing speed because of it. So you see, I do the same again here, because I think, well, if he's on mediums, if he desperately wants to be the car ahead, then I'll be the one to sit behind it, you know, because I think early on in these types of races it's definitely worth just working together rather than fighting each other, especially if you're right at the front like this. But if you look, the Spaniard's still right up behind us, and to be honest, I think me and the Italian had the pace to pull away from the Spaniard if he wasn't fighting me. As you see here, I'm just going to stick behind him now. As I said, I mean, it turned out he was on hard, so he's got much better race pace than I have. But I just think he was fighting unnecessarily and wearing his tyres. If I'd have been a faster driver and he'd been wearing his tyres fighting me, he could have been in trouble later in the race if he thought we were both on hards. So and as I said, so if I was him, I'd have just sat behind, as you see, like I'm doing now. I don't want to threaten him with a move, but I do need to sort out sticking behind a car like this, because I do sometimes end up dropping out the slipstream because I'm worried about getting too close to the back of them, because I don't want to make contact with them. But again, not the greatest run through the chicane of death, so now we're pushing a little bit to try and make sure we stay in that slipstream, and not quite the greatest final corner again, and don't get the run out, and unfortunately that loses us the slipstream now, which really we need. So I'm now pushing to try and get back in that slipstream. And see, we get a better run through the first chicane than he does. And you see here, this corner in the Jag, I always seem to be braking early, but whenever I tried to brake later, I was massively overshooting the apex. I really couldn't get a braking point in the Jag in the race for some reason for that corner. And then this is where we make our big mistake, I think, here. So we're just understeering the first one, have to lift off, understeer through the second one, and lose a lot of time through the S section there. So I was already starting to think now that might be the race for first gone, unless we're both on mediums, which I thought we were, and maybe I'll get back at him in the second phase of the race. But I was now thinking, well, my race now is probably with the Spaniard behind, but obviously I wasn't giving up on the Italian in front, but you have to be realistic about where you're racing. And as I said, I knew I had the quali pace, but I knew I didn't have the race pace, so we'll just fast forward through here now. So as you can see, he is pulling away from us still, so it's clearly faster in the race than us when he's on hard, and he's pulling away fairly easy. So especially as soon as we started to get any sort of tyre wear, especially through the chicane of death, I was really struggling. As you see there, as we slow it back down, coming to lap 6, the Spaniard behind goes in the pits. So straight away now I was thinking, right, I'm going to pit this lap to try and stay in front of him and keep track position. But brake a little bit late in maybe concentrating on that instead of my braking point. And then here we're going to make our first major mistake of the race, which I said in my video earlier in the week about my quali time that I didn't take the same line as the top guy, and that was the exact reason why. Just watching this, we end up with only one wheel still touching the ground. It's just absolute, and that's the problem with that curb. You take a bit too much and it throws you, which is why I didn't particularly like taking too much of it. But I made the mistake that time of unfortunately doing exactly what I tried to avoid to do, so probably lost us, what, 5 seconds, maybe more there. But if we're looking for positives, at least I kept the car together, kept it straight, kept calm, didn't panic, and got back on the track and lost. I think really there, after that mistake, I lost as little time from the mistake as possible. So the mistake lost me time, but I didn't lose any time regaining to the track or anything, so at least that's a positive. But again, as you see here, we'll just get chucked to the left again, and we were much slower through that time, yet we still got that chuck to the left. So it's clearly the angle that we're hitting that curb during the race is causing it, rather than the speed that we're hitting it at. So we are still going to come into the pits here anyway and swap onto the hards. The Cadbury's boys get the tyres changed there, and where we're going to come out behind the Spaniard and behind the German. But look at the gap, we've gone from being in front of the Spaniard with a slight gap to being quite a way behind. So we'll fast forward through now, see if we can gain on these two guys. And I don't know if the German had pitted or if he was on a no stop. I thought at the time he was on a no stop, which I think was correct. But just as you see, we're struggling really to gain up to these guys. We were gaining, but then we kept making not mistakes, but little errors, like being a bit slow through an apex or braking a bit early through a corner, and we'd lose all that time we'd gained through the rest of the lap in one corner. So it was a little bit annoying that I couldn't gain on them. But you never know on this track what can happen, so you've got to not give up and keep with it, because that chicane of death can take anyone out. And it looks like the French guy that was behind was doing no stop as well. So, well, as I said, without that mistake, I think we'd have come out ahead of the Spaniard. So we'd have been racing the Spaniard, but we'd have been racing the Spaniard with track position, whereas now we're trying to catch him and the German up. They're just coming to start the last lap now. As you see, we're not really closed that gap at all really on the two in front, but we're hoping with it being the last lap that the German might be a bit more excited to try and get past the Spaniard and maybe go for a bit more of an aggressive move maybe. And we want to be there to pick up any pieces of either them both being slowed down or one of them being knocked off the track or whatever. But as you see there, the German goes wide, so we gain on him there. And at this point with him going wide there, I start to think, was he possibly on the no stop? And if you look coming through the S's, he's getting a lot of understeer. He makes the same mistake we made earlier on, really understeers there. So we're getting a lot of time on him through there. So I'm thinking there is a possibility here, if we can get the better run out the chicane with the fresher tyres, then there's a chance we can have him down to the final corner, or maybe the Spaniard or him will make contact with the chicane and we can take advantage of that as well. But we are now close enough, I think, that if we get a better run through the chicane we can do something. But as you see, just clips the inside of the second one, so we get him at the chicane instead. But it's definitely not the first person to be claimed by the chicane, and I imagine not the first in this race. But little disappointing, but we're going to bring it home in fourth. So I don't think we could have beat the two on the no stops without being on the no stop, and to be honest, I don't think with the tyre wear I have the pace to do the no stop like they did, and do it as fast as they did, I mean. So, but I think third was on. We should have come out ahead of that Spaniard if not for that mistake, but we know that's where we're going to be looking to improve, is on our race pace, and see what we can do about that. So, but our SR is now back to 99, ready for next week's daily races. So if you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and possibly share it with your friends as well, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.